We're going to talk about the I-589, which is like the asylum application. I'm going to put a link here right on this video of the website. What you want to make sure is you're getting a link that's not from some like scammer or whatever. You want to get a link that says I-589 from uscis.gov. And so you can click on that. My best first step is we can look at any alerts that have happened. But what I'm going to do for the purpose of this video is I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to go to where it says forms and document downloads. This is the best place to download your I-589. You can see here the last update was done August 25th, 2020. Downloading both the form I-589 and the instructions. So I'm going to do that right now. What is the purpose of this form? This form is used to apply for asylum in the United States and for withholding of removal, formerly called withholding of deportation. These instructions are thorough. All right, there's 14 pages of instructions. I do recommend going through them for everyone. I mean, you know, any paralegal in my office, every new attorney in my office, we go through these instructions word for word, line for line. Once they know them, then okay, you can skip right over certain things because we know right what we're looking for. Also in the instructions, it says where to file, all right? Where to file your case and what to do if you have a spouse or children that are included in your case. And yes, you've got to submit one additional copy of your completed asylum application and your primary document evidence for your family relationship for each family member, all right? Because they're going to open new A files, alien files, they call them. It says here, you must include 2 copies of each document. You're going to make one full copy of everything, and then you're going to do 2 identical copies of everything that you put together. You're going to have a copy of the form itself and the identity documents of a family member for each family member that's included. So these packets, these are big, right? These are like, you know, it's almost like it goes into a little box when you mail it. There's no fee for filing it. You have to include a passport style photograph, 2 copies of everything. You want to go through the instructions because you want to know everything that is all in here. There's a section on organizing your application. Anyway, I'm not going to go through it line by line because I do think that we're going to get it covered in our video. But I encourage you to have the instructions. The I-589, we'll go through it. All right. It says I-589 application for asylum and automatically also for withholding of removal. So if a person is barred from asylum, they might still be eligible. You're simultaneously applying also for withholding of removal, which is a harder case to win, but you can win it even if you have, for example, a 1-year filing deadline. 1-year filing deadline does not preclude an application for withholding of removal. Also, I always recommend checking this box if you want to apply for CAT relief under the Convention Against Torture. CAT, check it off. If you're afraid of torture or serious violence against you, check off that box. You're maximizing your ability to preserve arguments in case you're sent before an immigration judge, all right? Because an asylum officer does not grant, check that box. So the question here is a question for you. Have you ever applied for anything with immigration before? Have you ever applied for any type of permanent status? Have you ever applied for a green card before? Have you ever applied for TPS, temporary protected status before? Have you ever applied for a work permit through immigration before? If it's just a tourist visa that you have, you're not going to have an alien registration number, all right? If it's just a student visa that you have, typically you will not have an A number, all right? But if you have applied for certainly if you've applied for a green card in the past, you will have a number, and you're going to want to look at the receipt notices and the other filings. Even if you didn't win your case, you're still going to have an A number. If you have one, write it in here. If not, you could write the word none. Do you have a U.S. Social Security number? What we're talking about is a valid, issued by U.S. Social Security Administration Social Security number. So if you don't, you can write in the word none. USCIS online account number. In 98% of our cases, the answer to that is none. Nobody, you know, people don't have a USCIS online account number. So here, when you're starting to fill out the form, it's like you go through every single box and you fill out the information, fill it out as accurately and as honestly as you possibly can. Have you ever used any other names? You want information to match all databases. And so if you were entering into the US and on your passport it says one thing and on your birth certificate it says something else, if you've ever used any other name for any reason, say it. Anyway, you'll want to explain that. So now, residents in the US, where do you physically reside? Where do you physically live? Then now you can put your mailing address. Maybe it's in the care of, so in care of, you know, my Aunt Martha. It could be a P.O. box. Gender, male or female. What happens if you happen to be a transgender individual? Do the gender that you most identify with. And if you're a transgender individual, we can explain that. Marital status. If you've been living with your significant other for 50 years, but you're not legally married, I would check the box single. Or you might consider marrying prior to filing this case, because heck, you might be able to get benefits for your spouse if you're in that situation. Okay, and so that's a strategy conversation. And if you're in that situation where you've been living together with someone, you're thinking, hey, maybe you could get married and give that person benefits, talk to a lawyer first. I mean, that's a great conversation to have with a lawyer. Date of birth, city and country of birth, present nationality, religion, ever been in immigration court proceedings. When did you last leave your country? What is your current I-94? This is an I-94. It's the arrival and departure little piece of paper that they typically give you when you're on the airplane, or they often do it electronic, and you can get it. You can go to cbp.gov/I-94, or you can just Google I-94. And if you put in your passport information, typically it'll come right up, all right? And so what you want to do is you want to take this record number, if you can see that there, and you would want to put that in your I-589. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever it is. Okay, list each entry into the US beginning with your most recent entry, okay? And so the date that you entered, the place you entered, and your immigration status. This might be F1 student, and you might say, okay, my status expires on May 31st, 2021. The date you entered, place you entered was San Francisco, and what country issued your last passport. Look in your passport, get the passport number. Passport number is typically on the ID page of your passport, versus the travel document number is the number of your visa. The passport number is there in the top right. That number right there, if you can see me moving my mouse, that is where the travel document number lives. All right, that's the number of the visa. Expiration date on your passport. Your native language. Are you fluent in English? Yes or no? If not, you're going to want to have an interpreter sign at the end of this form where it says for EOIR use only, that's only immigration court, for USCIS use only. So now your spouse. I am married. So if you're married, you can't check that box. But if you're not married, if you're single, you can check the box that says you're not married and you can skip below. But if you are married, then you've got to do the alien registration number, passport, date of birth, social security number, if any, last name, first name, middle name, other names, date of marriage, place of marriage, city of birth, country of birth, nationality. You got to do all this same stuff for your spouse. I-94 number, date of last entry into the U.S., status when last admitted. You know, is your spouse to be included in the application? All right. If they're here in the U.S., and if they're undocumented, and if they want to be with you in your asylum case, check yes. All right, they'll be able to get a work permit after 365 days, same as you during the pendency of the case. All right, but if your case is denied and sent to immigration court, they go with you right through immigration court. So there's benefits and risks, all right, of including a spouse in the case. So you'll want to talk that over with your spouse, all right? And does your spouse have other immigration options? Your children, list all of your children, regardless of their age, location, or marital status. So if you don't have children, check that box that says I don't have any children. But if you have children, you want every single biological child, every single adopted child, every illegitimate child, every I don't know, stepchild, half child, whatever it is, you want to include them. If there's a fifth child, though, don't worry, you can add that fifth child's information at the end of the form, and I'll show you where to do that. So now we go to part A3. This says, list your address where you lived before coming to the United States. If this is not in the country where you fear persecution, also list the address in the country where you fear persecution. They want to know, where have you lived outside the US? Say you lived in France for 6 months, all right? Then we're going to want to put that there. And then say you're from, I'm just making this up, say you're from Jordan, all right, in the Middle East, and you fled a difficult situation into Europe. You lived in France for 6 months, and now you've entered the US from France, all right? And so say that's your situation, great, all right? We've actually won cases in that situation. In that situation, you would put where you lived in France here, all right? You start with the most recent. And then at the bottom, you would put your actual address in Jordan. Number 2, provide the following information about your residences during the past 5 years. List your present address first. Next, it says, please provide the following information about your education. And here they're asking about school. So here it talks about employment, all right? So here it's like employment during the last 5 years. List your present employment first, all right? So name and address of the employer, your occupation, and dates. You go through it. Do it accurately, be rigorous about it, put it all in for the last 5 years. Here it asks about parents, siblings, and check if the person's deceased. Full name for mother, father, up to 4 siblings here, where they're currently living, all right? Or sorry, where they were born, And here it asks for current location or if they're deceased, all right? And so do that, be meticulous, go through it all. The point of my going through box after box after box is that we're all meticulous, that we're all going through it, all right? Once we're at part B, now it's like, okay, now we're talking about the law. Now we're getting into it, all right? And so once we're at part B, it says, why are you applying for asylum or withholding of removal? Here, remember how we've got to show that you have a well-founded fear of persecution on account of your race, your religion, your nationality, your political opinion, or your membership in a particular social group? Imagine, hey, you know, those bad guys, they were after you because of your race and because of your religious background and because of your nationality. I mean, heck, you can check every one of these. There are cases where I've checked all of them. I always check the Convention Against Torture box because you want to preserve every argument you've got. When in doubt, check as many boxes as you can so you can make the argument and make the explanation. But don't check the race box if it does not apply to you. But if it arguably might apply to you, check it. Have you, your family, or close friends or colleagues ever experienced harm or mistreatment or threats in the past by anyone? Sometimes it's yes. If it's yes, you want to explain in detail. 1, 2, 3, 4. What happened? When? Who? Why? If the answer is no, we never experienced harm or threats in the past, but some new crazy law was just passed, and now I can guarantee you that if I go back to my country, I'm going to, or I would experience harm, mistreatment, and threats. Okay, that's okay. You can still win your case, even if the answer is no there. But if the answer is yes, you want to be as detailed as possible. Do you fear harm, mistreatment in the future if you were to return to your country? Here, the answer should be yes, all right? So if yes, explain in detail. 1, what harm or mistreatment do you fear? 2, who, all right? Who you believe would harm or mistreat you. And 3, why you believe you would or could be harmed or mistreated. So if yes, explain in detail, what, who, why. All right? What, who, why. And you want to just stick to it and then say, for more information, see my attached declaration. All right? Number 2, I'm moving right along. All right? Thank you for staying with me. Have you or your family members ever been accused, charged, arrested, detained, interrogated, convicted, and sentenced or imprisoned in any country other than the United States, including for an immigration law violation? No or yes. All right. 3A, have you or your family members ever belonged to or been associated with any organizations or groups in your home country, such as but not limited to a political party, student group, labor union, religious organization, military or paramilitary group, civil patrol, guerrilla organization, ethnic group, human rights group, or press or the media? So, whatever. It could be yes or no. But if yes, it's like describe for each of your family members their participation. Yes, I was the leader of my student organization in college, whatever, all right? Yes, my father was the pastor of his church, and my family was a member of our church organization, right? They ask for your family, so you list everybody. My sister was active in her student group, fighting for immigrants' rights. How about that? Yeah, whatever, right? If you have family members who have belonged or been associated with any organizations, list them. All right. Be cautious about it if it's related to like a terrorist organization or the Communist Party or things like that, that can work against you. But if it's related to if it's related to like your asylum claim, then you definitely want to list it. All right. So just be aware. And you want to list it. You want to list it if it's there, because you don't want to, if the immigration judge or officer believes that you're not telling the truth, they have to deny your case. So you don't want that. All right. Do you or your family members continue to participate in any way in these organizations or groups? Yes or no? All right. If yes, describe. All right. Are you afraid of being subjected to torture? Yes or no. If you've checked the boxes, say yes. Have you, your spouse, your children, your parents, or your siblings ever applied to the U.S. government for refugee status, asylum, or withholding of removal? Yes or no? All right. Yes, my parents and sister have asylum status and they won already. Here's the information. Or yes, they applied, but they were all denied. 2A, after leaving the country from which you are claiming asylum, did you or your spouse or children who are now in the United States travel through or reside in any other country before entering the United States? Have you, your spouse, your children, or other family members, such as your parents or siblings, ever applied for or received any lawful status in any country other than the one you're now claiming asylum? Hopefully the answer to this is no, because it could cause a problem. So 3, have you, your spouse, your children ever ordered, incited, assisted, or otherwise participated in causing harm or suffering to any other person because of his race, religion, nationality, membership, or political? Hopefully the answer to this one is no. Like, have you ever done harm to someone else? Were you in a messed up, I don't know, were you part of some crazy military crackdown dictatorship plot to do harm to other people? If so, you might be best advised not to file this case. You might very well lose your case unless you're honest about it and now you're applying for relief under the Convention Against Torture. Right. Number 4, continuing. Have you, after you left the country where you were harmed or fear harm, did you return to that country? No or yes? Hopefully the answer is no. If the answer is yes, you're going to need to explain it, and you're going to need to say, hey, I went back, but are you filing this application more than 1 year? Here's the 1-year filing deadline question. All right. Hopefully the answer is no. No, I just arrived. I arrived less than 365 days ago. If the answer is yes, you're going to need to explain it. Yes, but I have maintained my lawful status. All right. So I'm still I have a student visa or a tourist visa or whatever. I never violated the terms of my visa, and so I'm still in lawful status. Have you or any member of your family included in the application ever committed any crime and or been arrested, charged, convicted, or sentenced for any crime in the United States, including for a former immigration law violation? Yes or no? Yes or no? And so if you've ever been arrested or charged or convicted or sentenced, you're going to need to say yes, and you're going to need to specify, for each instance, specify what occurred, dates, lengths of sentences. You're going to need to be very specific. You must submit certified copies of all arrest reports, court dispositions, sentencing documents, and any other relevant documents. You got to do it. All right. You got to do it. All right. That's it. Part D now is you got to put your photograph here. You actually need two, or I recommend putting two passport style photographs right there. All right. And you want to print your complete name. You want to write your name in your native alphabet. So did your spouse, parent, children assist you in completing this application? If so, say yes. If no, say no. All right. That's it. All right. I am not assisting you in completing the application, by the way. I am just doing a video and you're just watching me. I'm not actually assisting you in completing and asking for you the details of your life to put in the form. And so the person who is actually asking the details of your life to put in the form, you want to make sure that they are, that you say that here, okay? I signed this form if I helped you fill out this form. Asylum applicants may be represented by counsel. Have you been provided with a list of persons who may be able to assist you at little or no cost with your asylum claim? All right, there is a list, all right, of pro bono service providers. And I'm not going to show it to you right this second because it's going to take me a while to find it. I didn't have that prepared ahead of time. But if you haven't been provided with it, say no, it's not a big deal. And if you have, then say yes. If there was someone preparing this form and the information in it on your behalf, they need to fill this out. If it's a lawyer, they need to submit, you need to submit a G-28, which is the notice that you've got a lawyer on the case. And you need to submit the bar number of that attorney, all right, and their online account number, all right? And so do that. That is it as far as this information. This stuff is to be completed at the interview, and this stuff is to be completed if you're denied at the interview in immigration court in front of an immigration judge, okay? Here is just supplemental information if you have additional children, all right? And here is just an additional addendum if you need more information on any of the questions that you wanted to answer, all right, which is optional. You do not need to file these supplements, okay? So boom, that is it. That's a long video we just watched. Thank you for watching it. I hope that it was helpful. I hope it was helpful. Now, it's up to you. Fill out your I-589, go through every section of all of the form, do your best, go for it. If you want my office to review the form for you, we can discuss that, all right? But that's all I'm gonna say about the I-589 form. That is the form. Go through it, go through every single thing. If you have questions, watch this video again. If you still have questions, refer to the instructions. The instructions actually are, you know, maybe the instructions have changed since the moment that I've filmed this video. And so you're gonna wanna really read the instructions, make sure that everything that I'm saying here is still accurate, all right? And just so you're aware, I am filming this on February 6th of 2021, all right? And I believe, you know, and if these instructions get updated, then, and if there's something that might affect eligibility at all, I will be announcing that on our YouTube channel. I'll be sharing updates about the asylum process because changes might happen, all right? So anyway, thank you so much. Best of luck filling out your I-589. Go get them, all right? And if I can help you in any other way, let me know. And now we'll see you on the next video where we talk about the declaration. All right, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.